Okay, so good morning and welcome to this Develops Training webinar, where today we're going to be covering and having a look at sewer classification, some water jetting, and also we'll be delving into WinCan software. Firstly, I'd like to say thank you to everybody for registering to attend. It's very much appreciated. We know some of you have very busy schedules, and taking some time out today is very much appreciated. So thank you. Today, we will be providing you with some information. We'll be looking at some new innovation. We'll also be giving you some updates on best practice within this sewer and drainage industry. Joining me today, I'm very pleased to inform you we have three gentlemen from within the industry. They've been about for a long time. They know their stuff. Many of you will be familiar with them. You will also have time to get in contact with these people should you have any questions. We're going to save some questions for the end of the webinar. We're going to allow our panelists to do their bit, provide you with this information that I've mentioned, and then later on, we will then delve into the questions and answer as many as we can in the time that we've got allocated. So today, this webinar's began now for 11 and it will finish at 12 p.m. We will try to get as many questions as possible covered, but most importantly, we'd like to get the information out to you and allow the panelists to do their bit first. So joining me today, I'm very pleased to say you've got myself, Danny Connor, Senior Wastewater Trainer for Develop Training. We've then got Mr. Gordon Taylor from the Water Jetting Association, Mr. Tony King, Develop Associate. We then have Mr. Paul Woodhouse from WinCan, and also joining us, Daryl Garavan from Develop Training, who will be leading our question and answer session at the end. Today's webinar is being recorded, okay? Everyone who has attended or registered for the attendance will be sent a link to the recording after. So if there's anything that we've gone over or you'd like to go back and have a look at, you will have the chance to on the recording. Same with the questioning. If you have any questions, you can forward them or you can send them to our marketing@developtraining.co.uk. If we don't get to answer all your questions, we will then send the questions on to the panelists and then they will return or reply in due course. We have already received some questions and we have made a note of them. I've forwarded them on to Daryl. They will be the lead questions for the Q&A at the end. Once we've completed them, we will then use the Q&A bar or band on your toolbar for sending questions in. You will then, we will then answer the questions in ascending order as they're coming in. So I'm going to get proceedings started. Okay. As I said, Danny Connor, Senior Trainer for Wastewater. Been with Develop for 8 years now. I've been delivering the OS courses and some bespoke courses and consultation that I've put together. So I'm quite familiar with the industry. CCTV is predominantly what I've covered over the 30 years or so that I've been involved. We don't only deliver courses in our centres. We've got 8 throughout the UK, as far north as Scotland and all the way down to Brentwood in Essex. But we also have the capabilities, depending on your facilities, your yards, your centres, to deliver them courses as long as facilities will allow us to do that. So Develop website, you can go onto that. That will provide you with all our course and all our centre locations. There is also access to the course calendar. Once you get onto the website, that calendar will then provide you with centre locations, courses being delivered, and then you can accordingly find which one is closest to yourselves or more appropriate for you to then plan some training with ourselves. So, as I said previously, we train over 30,000 professionals each year. Our customers include some of the largest and best known organisations we cover a multitude of the utilities, the construction and defence industry. Not only them, healthcare, facilities management and telecoms. I'm sure we've got somewhere that you could attend should you need to carry out some training or provide training for your employees. As you can see on the slide, as I mentioned, there is 8 training centres. So get yourself onto the website, have a look over. Hopefully we can find something and we've got options for yourselves, so then we can deliver some training to yourselves. I'm going to start with HADMs, or highways as you may know it. There are going to be some changes to HADMs. We are in constant talks with highways, with what we'd like to deliver, what they'd like us to deliver, assessment criteria. These changes are going to come into effect in March 2025. So as you can see from the slide, anyone who is delivering or providing any sort of survey or GPS requirements for HADMs or highways, there are going to be certain requirements that that person, that surveyor, that operator is going to be required to attain and provide proof of certification. So surveyors undertaking CCTV with any pole-mounted cameras, any tractor units, any push units, training course certificates for OS 19 are going to need to be provided. If you completed the OS 19, the pipe sewer classification to 5th edition, every 5 years you will be asked to carry out a refresher. This is a half-day course that is carried out online through a Teams event with myself. We will then assess you again. There will be questioning. There will also be some coding of some steels. Once you've shown competence in the assessment and you have then completed, we will then provide you with certification for a further 5 years. Any operator carrying out any pole-mounted or CCTV type surveys will also require to attain OS 23 or the pipe sewer classification to HADMs CD 535 and CS 551. In addition, OS 26, the National Highways non-pipe training. So this will be assets that are above ground, continuous items. And for those who are familiar with HADMs, will be aware of what this includes when we talk about items. And you must also have a suitable pipe inspection software or operator use certificate. Surveyors undertaking GPS of surface assets, you will also have to provide certification of competence in OS 26 also, the National Highways non-pipe training, and also provide some suitable evidence of GPS device training or similar. As I mentioned, if any of these courses were undertaken more than 5 years ago, please, 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 can you arrange to get your refreshers organised? This can be done through the Develop website. Just speak to the sales team. They will organise this for you. The last thing we want is anyone not being able to provide certification while working on these assets. We deliver a wide range of water and environmental training. Not only is it all the classification stuff that we do for pipe, but we also cover brick. As I mentioned, the HADMs or the highways training. We also cover water jetting. So we have approved Water Jetting Association trainers, instructors, examiners. This will cover tube, pipe, bundle, pressure washer type training. So as I keep mentioning, it is worth getting onto the website. Have a look at that, www.developtraining.co.uk. Okay, all the information will be there for you, course locations, and also the course calendar of what's being delivered and where. Okay, so a little bit from myself, not too much from myself, but we've got a lot more coming up. Next up, I would like to introduce Mr. Paul Woodhouse. So Paul, if you'd like to take over.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Danny. Hopefully everybody can see my screen sharing just starting. So thanks for joining us today. Thank you, Danny, for that introduction. Interesting information about training that obviously encompasses WinCan, or we encompass those standards into WinCan, so it's something we use all the time. So my name is Paul Woodhouse. I'm Managing Director of WinCan Europe. We're a subsidiary company of the WinCan Group, international software company. I've been here in the UK for, unbelievably now, almost 26 years, supplying WinCan software. Many of you out there will know me and our products. We're very well known for data collection software. That might be desktop software, cloud-based software, apps, but very much in the data collection space. And what I wanted to introduce to you today was a new vision that we've been developing for a number of years now about tying all of those different inspection products that we have together. And I've got some slides that I'll show you that'll help explain what we're trying to do. So some of you will know the cloud products that we have, WinCan Web, but really what I want to show to you today is more about our enterprise cloud, an umbrella that sits above all of our products. So we'll get into these slides, and I'll start showing you our vision of that workflow. So big challenges around the world today. There's obviously the need really to rethink strategies around maintenance, repair, and operational management of CCTV data and any sort of inspection technologies. Extreme weather, labour shortages, ageing infrastructure, huge amounts of data to manage, high cost, collaboration between different systems, data exchange, and through all the different parts of that inspection process or the cycle that I'll show you in a few minutes, we've either got data loss or data duplication going on. So obviously extreme weather we're all familiar with, but a great shot here from Germany about some extreme weather that's affecting all of these municipal customers, water companies all around the world. So this is the current industry work cycle as we see it. So we have a circle of data where we come from the water company, asset management systems, preparing work, cleaning, TV inspections, rehabilitation, and then submitting data back to the water company. And through all of these parts of that process, data gets lost. It gets duplicated. We have to redo inspections. So what we're introducing with the enterprise cloud is a product that sits between all of those parts of the work cycle and allows us to seamlessly connect those different parts together. So what I'll do is I'll go through, as we see, each part of this work cycle. So the first part is the engineer's prepare work. So normally that's coming from a GIS system at the water company level. This is for bigger CCTV inspection work. At the water company level, the GIS system is where the work is, or the pipe networks are contained. So what WinCan Enterprise allows is the connection into those systems so we can plan and organize work directly from the GIS data that the water company has. And it allows us to go through, and you'll see a live sort of setup of a job here. It allowed us to go through, select a number of assets. And of course, this would normally be done by Excel spreadsheets, emails. Again, these places where data can get lost, corrupted, confused. But what we're doing here is we're creating a work order, a job, directly from the client's GIS. So once we've created a job, we can assign it to an operator, a TV vehicle, CCTV vehicle, or even a contractor if it's at that level. And then the job is created and it gets dumped into a Kanban board for basically job management. We can see what jobs need to be done, what jobs are in progress, what jobs have been completed, and then what jobs ultimately get sent back to the asset management system. Cleaning is also part of WinCan Enterprise. exactly the same work preparation method from the client's GIS. We can select a number of assets that need cleaning. We can send those jobs out to an app, and we can track in real time the work progress, the volume of water used, whatever parameters are needed for that job, we can track and enter into an app-based interface on a mobile phone. So we plan the work from the client's GIS, WinCan Enterprise handles the job, but the actual interaction with the site crews is done through an app, the WinCan mobile app. TV inspection. So we've seen again how a job can be created. Once that job has been created, it can be sent out to the field crews for a number of different types of inspections, be that a push camera, pole camera, crawler inspection, push camera, whatever it is, all sorts of different inspections. And from a WinCan perspective, we have a number of different applications that can accept that work. So we obviously have our desktop solution. We have a cloud solution, WinCan Web, that many of you will know. And we also have some embedded apps that are ending up inside push cameras and on tablets. So there's a number of different products that we have that can accept this data inside the enterprise cloud. Once the job's been done out on site, the engineer then has the possibility, and this could be the contractor or the water company, depending how we want to set it up. But we have a number of different ways that we can review data. And of course, we may have had a manually coded CCTV inspection on site done by a trained operator to OS 19. But also in the background, we may not want to do that. We may want to use AI. And we can have some AI solutions. You can just see some examples of the models in action here. AI solutions that can pre-code these pipes. We then have facilities for QA to allow the delivery of that work at the end of the CCTV survey. The next part of the work cycle would be rehabilitation. So we want to be able to take the CCTV data that we've collected on site, and we want to use it for generating rehabilitation and maintenance. And inside our products, we have utilities where we can plan and capture this data. Oops, sorry, gone one stage too far. Where we can plan and capture this data using the CCTV data that we've collected through that work cycle. We can then go into the rehabilitation module in WinCan VX, our desktop software, and this will be coming to the cloud later this year. And we can start planning different types of rehabilitation scenarios. So it might be a cleaning operation, it might be rehabilitation, it might be patch liner, full liner, whatever we want to do. But as we're carrying out these processes inside WinCan, we're also generating the costs that are involved. So there's facilities for setting up the costings, any type of information of the different rehabs that you have. All of that is possible inside WinCan. Once we've completed the rehab out on site, we would do another inspection. So a post-rehab inspection, something like that. And then we have the facility again to start reviewing that inspection. And inside WinCan Web, our cloud solution, we now have comparison tools. So we can use a pre-rehabilitation inspection and a post-rehabilitation inspection, and we can compare the two surveys. And actually develop as part of the OS 19 training, we'll shortly start using this comparison tool as a marking product for use in the OS 19 training sessions. So at the end, the marking criteria and everything will be delivered from this comparison tool. So it allows us to look at two inspections. We can compare the results, and that could be an AI inspection and an inspection that's been done by a human, or it could be a pre and post rehabilitation inspection, all sorts of scenarios in there. Nice tools to look at the different defects, compare pictures, photos, and that sort of thing. And then we get back to the data submittal. So once the job has been completed in the cloud, we now have tools where we can look at the final results. We can look at the jobs that have been done. We can do all of this via the cloud. We can look at productivity levels, KPIs, and at the end of the cycle, we basically submit this data back to the water company through a data export. That can be a connection to the GIS. It could be a data export with industry standard data exchange like the WRC XML files, could be shape files, geodatabases. We have all sorts of different options for getting the data back. But the idea is that we have a 360 solution that takes us from the initial planning of a survey all the way through back to the delivery again in one platform. So that's what I wanted to introduce today, the WinCan Enterprise Cloud. Thank you very much, and I'll pass back to Danny for now.
Thank you, Paul. Some brilliant stuff there. As always, WinCan, innovation is second to none. There's always something going on whenever we speak to Paul or anyone from WinCan. Brilliant to see. Really good news about the comparison stuff. Looking forward to seeing that and having a look at that, and giving it a run out in some future courses.
Look forward to it as well, Danny.
Pardon, mate?
Look forward to it as well.
Yeah, it should be good. I'm really looking forward to it. Been a bit of a while coming, but obviously we need to make sure everything's 100%, don't we, before we put it out there. But yeah, future's looking good with assessment and using the information and the product. Next up, we're going to introduce, or I'm going to introduce Mr. Tony King, a develop associate. Tony, you all ready?
Yeah, away we go, Dan. Okay, good morning, everyone. Yeah, my name's Tony King. Been in the industry coming up for 40 years now, delivering the sewer classification suite of courses on behalf of Develop for the last 26 years. I'm going to take you through a few topics this morning, and I'll be talking about MSc qualification, the expiry date for MSCC 4, what's happening with MSCC 6, and I'll be talking about various committees which govern the CCTV industry. So MSCC 5 qualification is a requirement of sewerage undertakers in the UK that all condition surveys of public sewers should be carried out by a qualified operator. The existing qualification is MSCC 5, which is the 5th edition of the qualification. And believe it or not, that was actually published and introduced in 2011. So we're now 13 years old. Develop, formerly WTI Training Group, as a UK water industry owned training organisation, was commissioned by the Water Authorities Association, now Water UK, to set up a certification system for sewer classification in 1980. The first course was actually delivered in 1981. So we've had this qualification now since 1981. The standard is now in its 5th edition and is the UK version of the European standard for sewer classification, which has an EN code of 13508-2 2003 2011, which is the 5th edition. Develop are the only training organisation in the UK to offer this qualification. Candidates' final assessments are marked by a qualified assessor using marking software, which is Paul give us a little update on, and internally verified before being processed or passed to EUSR for accreditation. So all sewer classification qualifications are accredited by EUSR. Sorry. At some time, we are going to have to convert from MSCC 5 to MSCC 6. And I will talk about MSCC 6 and where we are with it later on. For pipe sewer classification, OS 19X, holders of the 5th edition certificates will need to attend a conversion course to MSCC 6. This course code is the OS 30, so we will be launching or changing the conversion course to convert from 5 to 6 when 6 is actually published. For brick sewer classification, delegates will need to attend a full 2.5-day course. There is no conversion course for brick, for the simple reason is the OS 30 course is a 2-day course. The full brick course is 2.5 days. So we thought we'd stay with the 2.5-day course for the brick requalification. EUSR, or the Energy and Utility Skills Register, is an organisation that develop use for all accreditation, as I said before. So all sewer classification qualifications are awarded by EUSR and are valid for 5 years. Danny mentioned earlier that at the end of the 5-year period, an half-day virtual refresher course is offered and should be attended every 5 years to update your accreditation. Important to make sure when completing the EUSR registration form at the start of a course that the completed form is legible. We have a lot of forms or registration forms that the data processors cannot read. So if your information is entered incorrectly, you're not going to have access to your qualification. You can actually search the EUSR card or your qualification from the EUSR website, which is www.eusr.co.uk. And if you enter their website and enter your ID number or date of birth, so if you haven't got your card or qualification ID number, you can actually enter on search with your date of birth and surname. If MSCC 6 is published before the 5-year expiry period, a conversion course, the OS 30X, will be required when the qualification expires. So if you carry out or undertake an OS 19 today or next week, that certificate is valid for 5 years, irrespective of MSCC 6 being introduced maybe next year. So your MSCC 5 certificate will be valid for 5 years. MSCC 4 expiry. I'm going to take you through that shortly. I'm sure you all are understand now that MSCC 3, the certificates are no longer valid. So anyone out there working with MSCC 3 certificates, they are not valid. Next slide, please. Slide, please, Dan. So, MSCC 4 expiry. So this is an AMPS 8 requirement. The SIN group have agreed that the following announcement, which will be published by Water UK for circulation. Okay, effective from April 2024, MSCC 5 certificates will be required. 5-year expiry dates on all existing and new CCTV training certificates. So on all MSCC 5 certificates, you will have an expiry date, a 5-year expiry date there. MSCC 3 and MSCC 4 certificates will no longer be accepted. Next slide, please, Dan. There's some additional information that came out of the SIN group. So the following CCTV survey training courses and assessments are available to attend or attain MSCC 5 and are accredited by EUSR. So to get MSCC 5 accreditation, you can undertake an OS 19, which is a 5-day course to achieve MSCC 5. You can attend an half-day refresher, refresher to achieve the 5-year accreditation. Or an OS 30, which is a 2-day conversion course that will take you from MSCC 4 to MSCC 5. And it has been agreed that this course will no longer be available after the 31st of March 2026. So what we are saying is that you've got 2 years from the expiry of MSCC 4 to attain MSCC 5 accreditation. You can also attend an OS 20T, which is a test only to MSCC 5. And as I've said earlier, the OS 21X, which is a 2.5-day course for brick sewers. Okay, next slide, please, Dan. I just wanted to take you through some industry forums or committees that sit, just to show that it's not developed, that is necessarily setting the rules within the industry. So we have something in the industry called, which is the SIN group, or the Sewerage Infrastructure Network Group. And this is a committee which reports to Water UK on matters relating to sewerage network and the infrastructure, and is made up of representatives from the sewerage undertakers and stakeholders. Sitting underneath the SIN group, we have a group, the Task and Finish CCTV group, that predominantly looks at the CCTV industry and innovation within that. The committee reports, as I said before, to the SIN group. It last sat on the 29th of Feb this year, and is made up of representatives from the sewerage undertakers, and particularly with staff that are dealing with CCTV matters on a daily basis. So these are the sewerage undertakers staff that deal with CCTV. WRC are also represented, the training providers and software suppliers. So we have a fairly wide range of experience sitting on that committee. Some of the topics that were discussed at the last meeting, as WRC have been approached by NASCO of the USA, who are carrying out a research project looking at the effects on picture quality when increasing camera speed to improve productivity, particularly when carrying out AI surveys. So what we're looking at, or what NASCO are looking at, is the effects of the increase of camera speeds when carrying out AI surveys. Now, they've also asked for WRC's assistance to see if we have any footage available where increased camera speeds have been applied. Now, that's not an easy task to find or ask for some video footage. I know developers organisation is always on the lookout for footage for new assessment tapes or classwork tapes, and we find it very difficult. So if any of you out there have got anything that you think may be of use to us, please forward it. And talking about AI, Paul touched on it earlier, but Wessex Water have actually been carrying out some AI trials. So far, approximately they've carried out about 100 kilometres have been surveyed. And the initial results coming back from that, it looks like they've increased the productivity by 100%. They've only carried out AI surveys in this trial of main sewers. So no reactive work or blockage clearance or anything like that. So it's all main sewer work, which is normally the productivity is normally a bit better on strategic sewers. They've said that some cost-saving information should be available by the end of the financial year. So it'd be interesting to see what sort of costs or what savings are being produced. MSCC 6, been waiting for it for a long while now. Next slide, please, Dan. So MSCC 6, as I mentioned earlier, is a European standard. Most member states use all of the codes within the standard. Other states, including the UK, use a national equivalent coding system, whereby they convert EU source codes to codes applicable to that country, i.e. EU source code for a crack longitudinal is BAB BA. Source code for a fracture longitudinal, BAC BA. Now, at least I think we can have a guess or a stab at the UK codes. Someone using source code Steve Peregrine must have a strange brain, Paul, because I can't get my head around them. There is a UK steering group which would draft a document outlining changes the UK would like to be included in the next edition of the standard, or the next MSCC 6. So they would look at the introduction of new codes and definitions, data file formats, and how data is transferred, etc. The UK steering group meets next month, when the first draft will be discussed and circulated for comments within the industry. The target date for publication of the final document before being submitted to the European Committee is at the end of 2024. Items to be included in the document is they're looking at the use of zoom cameras, surveying of iron pipes, so there may be some new codes introduced, the surveying of line sewers, so they're looking at having, unfortunately, it may lead to another qualification where it's for the surveying of rehab sewers. So again, the introduction of new codes. The possible publication date for MSCC 6, and I would say possible, is the end of 2026. There has been a proposal that as an appendix to MSCC 6, they'll have an appendix there looking at grading and scoring, which has not been in any previous versions of the standard. As we've been waiting so long for this, and people within the industry are getting quite frustrated at the lack of codes that have been requested, there is a proposal to issue an addendum to MSCC 5 to include some of the additional codes contained in the European standard that are not currently being used in the UK. So if we have codes that are presently in the European standard that we are not actually using at the moment, there's nothing stopping us taking up and using those codes. And if you have a look at the document, MSCC 5 document, pages 141 to 153 list the European codes. The codes in bold print are those used in the UK. Those in italic print are European standard codes. So anything in italic, we could actually adopt now into MSCC 5. Well, I hope that has been of help to you. A lot of information there. I'm sure it will generate some questions. The industry have taken note of, or the committee's taken note of the costs involved with conversion. And there is a 2-year period for your guys to go out and get converted from MSCC 4 to 5. I don't know what the workload will be. I think Develop will actually be putting this into open programs, and dependent on the take up, I think we can actually got the capacity to put more on as they come in. Thanks a lot for that, and back to you, Dan.
Thanks, Tony. Yeah, some brilliant news there, some brilliant information. Lots happening. Some new stuff being introduced. Looking forward to MSCC 6 when it does finally get signed off and comes into play. But for now, yeah, promising. the European stuff that we could possibly introduce, I think, is a great addition. Something no doubt we're all going to discuss several times in the future, but definitely something to look forward to. So thanks again, Tony. Brilliant. Next up, we've got Mr. Gordon Taylor from WJA Water Association. You right there, Gordon? I know you've been sat there for a while listening to everyone, but yeah, your time has come.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Morning, all.
I'll get your first slide on for you, and then I'll let you lead the way, sir.
Cheers. Thanks for that. Yeah, my name's Gordon Taylor, and I represent the Water Jet Association as the technical manager. A couple of years ago, it was discussed that there was no codes of practice for all the pressure washers in the country, and there must be thousands out there. When you bear in mind that 7 bars required or 100 psi is required to penetrate the human skin, I thought, well, maybe we should be looking at this, because the red code for the drain and sewer and the blue code for the high pressure end is a bit too high level for normal people with pressure washers. So we set about writing the code, and we submitted it to the health and safety executive, who was over the moon with it, and with a few minor changes. He's allowed us to say, look, was used with technical advice as provided by the HSE, which is the first time ever. Now, this has prompted changes to the blue and the red code, so watch out, because the red code's been rewritten as we speak. Next slide, please, if you don't mind, Danny. This is the important one. This will probably take a lot of people out there in the industry by surprise. Site-specific risk assessments are no longer going to be allowed, I don't think. So your DRAs or your point of work, your power, will change. You need to have a specific risk assessment for the tasks out there in the workplace. And I'll have to read from that because it's quite a mouthful here. The WJA disagree with dynamic risk assessment, the DRA or the power point of work. Our position is the DRA is not a substitute for an effective preparation and consideration of a risk assessment. So that includes generic risk assessments, because such risk assessments will normally achieve a significant amount of risk reduction. So an employee cannot and should not be expected to take responsibility for dynamically assessing risks for maintenance tasks as a substitute for systematic risk assessment before the completion of a task. DRAs and powers are really for police, emergency services, police and fire brigade, where things are changing rapidly. And this wording comes direct from the HSE. So we thought it was an important point to get across. And we will be changing all our codes of practice to reflect this. I think it's next slide, but if you don't mind, Danny.
Yep.
I'm sure that will prompt a few questions from people. We announced at our Water Jet Association meeting yesterday, and it shocked quite a few people out there. I mean, myself, I've been used to using the DRAs as a normal working method, and it's frowned upon now. And this is a bit of a plug, really. We've got our first ever trade show in September this year, and it's at the Stonex Stadium at Hendon on the 12th of September. And I'd like you all to come along and take part. And I think that's it, Danny.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you, Gordon.
You're welcome.
Looking forward to the trade show. I'm sure we'll be in attendance, and plenty of people that we know within the industry, and a great chance for everyone to meet up, have a chat, and also discuss things that have been covered today with regard to your water jetting, the new code of practice, the purple code of practice, and everything relating to water jetting.
We look forward to seeing you
Has
all.
anyone got anything to add? I know we've neared the end of the slides and what everyone's needed to say. Is there anyone thought of anything they'd like to add just before we move into questions?
No.
All good? Okay, I'm not sure if Daryl's still with us. You there, Daryl?
Yeah, still here. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
as I said before, Daryl Garavan developed training. He's going to lead the questions. We have had some sent in earlier prior to the event, prior to the webinar. So I'll hand over to you, Daryl, and each panelist can answer accordingly.
Great, thanks, Danny. So yeah, first question we had through was from Paul Bridson of Manx Utilities. I think we have covered this in the slides, but I'll just recap on it. So what is the timescale for CCTV personnel to be expected to update to MSCC 5, as this could obviously be an expensive burden on companies in the current financial climate? So I think that was covered in your slides, wasn't it, Tony?
Yeah. Yeah, as I said, the SING group have got a agreement that MSCC 4 will actually expire, as I said, beginning of next month, actually. You'll have 2 years to convert to MSCC 5, and I mentioned various ways of actually doing that.
Yeah.
So the 2-day conversion course, the OS 30, is within the develop program at the moment. I don't know how many is due. How many do we know? How many is scheduled this year?
Yeah, we've got some dates.
And we, as I said in the presentation, Daryl, if the take up is greater, we can actually add extra dates to that quite easily, can't we?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So yeah, if you go on the website, there are some dates at the various different locations in the months ahead, and yeah, we'll add to that as and when demand dictates.
As Danny mentioned earlier, if you have enough or numbers, we can actually do a bespoke and come to you rather than sending 6 people away. We can actually come to you.
Yep. And we'll bring laptops all loaded with WinCan and everything else. So we just need a room big enough and some power sockets. So
yeah, I hope that answers your question.
Real, thank you. I've got a couple of questions here from Clive Key. So first one's for you, Tony. Do the panel see any problems in applying MSCC codes to pipes of composite and flexible nature?
This has been raised, and it has been raised by various committees. We feel that the existing codes within MSCC 5 are sufficient. However, when you start looking at scoring and grading, it becomes a different matter. And I know that some work is being done on composite and plastic pipe. Clive, if you do have some examples of defects that you would like to be coded, or there's lack of a code to cover the defect, please, if you could forward them to us, I will take the matter up with the UK steering group, and it could be something that we could actually get into MSCC 6.
Brilliant, thank you. And Clive Key again, next question's for Paul. AI coding appears to be a talking point in the industry at present. How do current systems cope with coding of GRP pipes and subsequent condition grading, given that such pipes are composite in construction?
I'm actually not sure if Clive's on the webinar, so hopefully he'll get to see the recording afterwards, and we can certainly answer him by email as well. But I mean, essentially with AI, what we need to train the models that detect the features in the pipes is material. We need videos, pictures, examples of the materials and the defects that we're trying to find. So we have some GRP, but certainly more material will always be a good thing. We need thousands and thousands of individual images to train the model on particular defects and so on. So we have some, but we could always do with more. So I hope that answers the question that yeah, we're certainly looking for those defects, but the more material we have, the better it is. And the obviously then the subsequent condition grading really is exactly what Tony's answered. What we're doing inside the AI is looking for a defect. The way that it gets graded, scored, and classified inside the software is irrelevant, really, whether it's AI or a human being. So those things are being looked at as we speak.
Fantastic. Thank you, Paul. And final question here for Gordon from Darren Lynn at Wessex Water. What is the current training or recommendation regarding jetting from a full or surcharged manhole chamber?
It's a good one. Best practice, well, there's two ways really to deal with it. If you've got a combination unit with vacuum or a gully truck there, you would empty out that manhole. If you felt you couldn't do that, then really speaking, you should be going downstream to the next manhole that is empty and start jetting from there. I mean, if you can't see the pipe, then it's not safe to put a jetting hose down it because you don't know what's under the pipe. I hope that answered the question for you, Darren.
Real. Thank you, Gordon. Just had a question pop up from Barry Hanley to the room, really. How can we get the authorities to accept our data transferring? We still have major authorities asking for DVD and paper reports. We are investing in these great programs, but we feel the authorities are not developing along with our standards.
I think that's probably for me, Daryl. Barry, thanks for the question. I mean, really, it's about education. We need to get out there, and we can certainly help you with that. But we need to get out there and show the clients the benefit of these new solutions. I mean, if they're really still receiving DVD and paper reports, they are absolutely in that cycle that we looked at the beginning of my presentation. They're absolutely in that position of data loss. If they're receiving a DVD, it will not get used down the line. It will get lost. It'll be in a cupboard, in a drawer. Yes, there are systems where we can transfer that, but really we need to get them into you know, the digital world. We need to move them forward into that, and we can only really do that through education and showing them the benefits.
Fantastic. Thanks, Paul. So that's it for the questions on the board. As Danny said before, if there are any questions you want answering outside of this webinar, you can email those to marketing@developtraining.co.uk, and we will get back to you in due course on those from the relevant person. Other than that, as Danny's put the slide up, yeah, thank you all for participating today. Thank you for our panelists once again. We hope it's been useful, and we look forward to speaking with you at some point in the future.
Thank you, gents.
Brilliant. Thank you,
Thank you
gentlemen.
very much, everybody.
Can't thank you enough.
I hope to see you again.
Yep. See you soon.
Likewise.
Speak to you soon, gents.
Okay. Have a great day. Have a good
And
weekend.
yourselves. See you later.
Bye, everybody.
Right.
Bye-bye.